Sidney Crosby and Alexander Ovechkin are two of the greatest players of all time. Over the past 20 years, they've absolutely dominated the NHL. However, time is running out for these two guys, and over the next couple seasons, we're going to see both of them retire. And with these two players being as dominant as they are, I'm going to combine them into one player. Meet Sidney Ovechkin. Now, who is Sidney Ovechkin? Well, he's a combination of Sidney Crosby and Alexander Ovechkin in their current form. Basically, this is the greatest player of all time. He's got amazing puck skills, great senses, a fantastic shooter. He plays elite defense, he's an amazing skater, and he's a very physical player. He's Sidney Crosby and Alexander Ovechkin combined. There is zero weaknesses in a player like this. Now, with a player this elite, where are we going to be placing him? On the Arizona Coyotes. And you might be wondering, why did I choose the Arizona Coyotes? Since the year that Crosby and Ovechkin made their debuts in the NHL in 2005 and 2006, up until this point, the Arizona Coyotes are the least successful franchise with a points percentage of 4.86. This team has been absolutely abysmal for the last 20 years, and as long as Sidney Crosby and Alexander Ovechkin have been in the league, this has been by far the most disappointing franchise and the least successful franchise. So it only makes sense that a superstar player such as Sidney Ovechkin heads over to the Arizona Coyotes and tries to save them. Now, this is basically going to be a career simulation and rebuild combined. What I mean by that is I'm going to have zero impact on Sidney Ovechkin's career. However, if the Arizona Coyotes start doing a lot of really stupid things, then I'm going to step in order to save Sidney Ovechkin's career. Like, let's just say 5 years down the line, the Arizona Coyotes for some reason decide, you know what, we don't need a goaltender, and in the 2028 season, we have a 75 overall starting goaltender. I'm going to then step in as the Arizona Coyotes GM, and I'm going to trade for a goaltender in order for this team to be somewhat competitive. Or if this team starts making a lot of really stupid free agent signings, and I have to trade some of those players away, I'm going to do so. I want to make sure that the Arizona Coyotes are somewhat competitive, but I also want to let the simulation handle 90% of the things that happen. So with that being said, I think we know what we're getting ourselves into here. Sidney Ovechkin, you're going to turn to a superstar. You might even win MVP this season. You have incredibly high expectations. However, you are on the Arizona Coyotes, and that means quite a bit. You're probably going to fail if I'm being completely honest. But while we simulate through season number 1 here, if you haven't already, make sure you subscribe to the channel. I'm still trying to hit 65k subs by the end of the month. And if you're part of the 69% of people that aren't subbed to the channel, I won't be able to do that. So subscribe right now. What are you doing? Now, with season number 1 in the books here, unfortunately, the Arizona Coyotes aren't going to be making the playoffs, but we were pretty close here. The only reason we didn't make it is Vancouver held the tiebreaker over us. We're 16th in the entire league with a 41-34-7 record, and honestly, this is actually pretty good considering the team's going to keep on getting better. However, the defense does scare me here. 3.48, that's going to be one of the worst in the entire league. We were the 3rd worst defensive team. Yeah, it's got to change pretty quick. Sidney Ovechkin's season was also a bit disappointing here. 40 goals, 53 assists for only 93 points. Like, bro, you're a 95 overall right now in your rookie year. I'm expecting more than 93 points. Then again, I'm also saying 93 points for a rookie is bad here, but you're a different rookie. You're not just your regular 82, 83 overall rookie. You're a 95 overall playing top line minutes with Clayton Keller at your side. I'm expecting both of you guys to be putting up way better numbers. When it comes to Connor Ingram's numbers, honestly, these are way better than what I thought they would be. Considering what our team's goals against was, I was expecting you to have like a 370. And for once, Stick on the Ice is actually going to look at the entire league here. Shesterkin's going to lead the way in wins. He's picking up 48 with 3 shutouts. His goals against and save percentage really aren't that great. Stuart Skinner was locked in though, so Edmonton might be able to go on a bit of a run in the postseason. When it comes to rookie scoring, no surprise here, Sidney Ovechkin's leading the way. And when it comes to all skaters, Mika Zibanejad of all players, 113, Matthews 107, Mikko Rantanen 104. Okay, we definitely had some different scores here. Where is Connor McDavid? That's all I have to say. Like, seriously, where is Connor McDavid? You're telling me this guy didn't crack 100 points? Am I just completely missing Connor McDavid's name? No, he only had 90 points this season. Connor McDavid, 90 points. Seems about right. I also do want to point out of all players here, Sidney Ovechkin is the only one with a negative plus minus. So once this guy has a positive plus minus, yeah, he's definitely going to be at the top of the league. No question about it. Until then, though, we might as well see who's winning the Stanley Cup. The Colorado Avalanche taking down the Toronto Maple Leafs in 6 games. I'm assuming Nathan MacKinnon led the way there. It's either Nathan MacKinnon or Cale Makar. Of course, Nathan MacKinnon, 12 goals, 24 helpers, 36 points. Matthews, you were pretty good in the postseason, but it just wasn't enough. Once again, Toronto's going to be going another another year without a Stanley Cup, but at least you got out of the first round. Now, the one thing that makes this season worse is since Arizona just missed the playoffs, we're not going to have a great draft pick here. We're getting the 16th overall. We're going to ignore who got the first overall pick. Like, seriously, a team like this should not be getting the first overall pick. They should be hoisting multiple Stanley Cups. So I'm really hoping that the Arizona Coyotes cooked with the 16th overall pick. Liam Greentree, I actually really like that selection. He could be a really good line mate for Sidney Ovechkin in the future. I'm also assuming Arizona had some other draft picks here. I'm not too sure. I don't really care about anything outside the first round though, but I do want to see, oh, this team really only had one first round pick. Okay, never mind then. Oh, turns out every single pick we had was outside the first round. That makes a lot more sense. I knew for a fact Arizona had a lot of draft picks. Very few of them are in the first round though. So we're give or take a week into free agency, and the only thing we've done is bring Sean Durzi back to the team. And I'm perfectly fine with the Sean Durzi deal, except a deal like this. $7 million for the next 4. So you're telling me you're going to pay him till he's 29 years old, and then after that you're going to have to give him another extension. If you're going to pay him $7 million, you better lock him down for at least 8 years. Because next time this guy wants a deal, you're going to be looking at 9, maybe even 10 million. Oh yeah, I forgot to mention, this team is incredibly unserious. We made 2 other free agent signings. We signed Ian Cole to the team, so that's definitely going to help. It's going to help something. I don't really know what's going to help. Maybe help us get the first overall pick. He's 35 years old. He's probably going to be worse next season, probably drop to a 79 overall. But don't worry guys, we got even younger. Eric Johnson. Yeah, this team is not cooking. I might have to step in sooner than I thought. I mean, the only good thing is at least Eric Johnson was signed for 1 season. Ian Cole, we gave him multiple years. 35-year-old Ian Cole, yeah, we gave him multiple years at like $3 million. Good to see we're being smart with the cap. Okay, so I guess I have to just shut my mouth and take back absolutely everything I said. Jonathan Marchessault, we signed you. I did not know that we signed you. I guess we're bringing you in on a 1-year deal at $6.8 million. But Marchessault, Sidney Ovechkin, and Clayton Keller on that number 1 line. I'm liking what we're doing here. Max Pacioretty's also on the team now. Corey Perry's here. Logan Cooley's up to an 86. Okay, this team's very good right now. The only issue I have is we have terrible line fits, but right now the offense is cooking. What's the defense looking like? JJ Moser, Sean Durzi, the usual suspects here. The second and third pairing is pretty weak, but that forward core is looking very good right now. Connor Ingram, he's still the starter here, an 85 overall. Okay, Arizona might do a bit of damage this season. We might actually be able to sneak into the playoffs. Now, unfortunately, we have another disappointing season here for the Arizona Coyotes. We're going to be missing the playoffs once again here, but we were actually a lot worse this season. A 39-38-5 record, 23rd in the entire league. The offense was way better, no question about it, but that defense is something special. 3.46 allowed, once again one of the worst in the entire league, 4th worst to be exact. Why is it this bad? I mean, to be fair, I know exactly why it's that bad. Ian Cole, Eric Johnson, what else do I have to say? Like, no disrespect to those guys right there, but we're in the year 2025. They can't be leading the way. Sidney Ovechkin, an incredible season. He's picking up 46 goals and 53 helpers for 99 points. I'm going to be completely honest. I am very surprised he's not scoring more, considering his shoot pass bias is very heavily influenced to shoot. So yeah, 46 goals. I'm expecting a lot more. Clayton Keller, 91 here. Nick Schmaltz, 78. When it comes to the goaltending situation for this team, Connor Ingram, yeah, this just isn't it. Like, look at Stuart Skinner. He's holding it down, 44 wins and 4 shutouts. Then you got Georgiev, Samsonov, Jake Onger. There's a lot of names that probably shouldn't be up here if I'm being completely honest. And when it comes to all skaters, Nathan McKinnon, he's going to have a fantastic season. 127 points here. Ryan Nugent-Hopkins is leading the Edmonton Oilers. He's got 106 here. Where is Connor McDavid? Once again, below 100 points here. This is beyond ridiculous. Okay, McDavid, where are you? I'm just assuming I missed your name at this point. No, I did not. You only had 94 points this year. Let's just leave it at that. Like, seriously, why is Connor McDavid all of a sudden the biggest disappointment in the NHL? The Colorado Avalanche are matching up against the Carolina Hurricanes in the Stanley Cup final. It's going to be a 5-game series for Colorado. They're going back to back here, and once again, I'm making the assumption that Nathan McKinnon's going to be leading the way. It's either him or Cale Makar, one of the two. Nathan McKinnon, once again, he's doing his thing. I mean, I guess I'm just completely passing over guys like Mikko Rantanen. Like, he could definitely lead the way for Colorado. The Gabriel Landeskog, he's back, he's healthy, he could definitely do it. But yeah, I'm just always assuming it's Nathan McKinnon or Cale Makar. So I'm under the assumption that Arizona has a lot of draft picks. We're going to be getting a pretty decent one. Where are we going to be selecting? It looks like our pick's going to be landing at number 10. So with the 10th overall pick, I'm not expecting Arizona to get a superstar player, but we are going to be walking away with a medium top 6 potential player. He's a decent enough playmaker, 71 overall. He could play some top minutes for us in the future as long as he develops correctly. Did we really miss out on any superstars here later in the draft though? I mean, Gabriel Degg definitely would have been great for us. I really wish we actually drafted him instead. There's this low elite potential player. He's already a 72 overall. He could be a really good player. Anyone else in the first round is going to be a star? Probably not. I mean, you got a bunch of medium top 4 potential guys. They're going to turn into great players. But yeah, a medium elite potential goaltender in Gabriel Degg, he would have solved a lot of issues. issues for this team. I mean, granted, just because we have a good goaltender doesn't mean anything if our defense is absolutely abysmal. I don't even think it's Connor Ingram's fault. I think it's the fact that we have terrible players in front of him. So it turns out in that last draft, we actually got a really good player, Pat Wall, medium league potential, 63 overall. He was selected 74th overall. Good to see the Arizona Coyotes actually doing some good drafting for once. So I might have to step in a bit sooner than I was expecting. We are 20 days into free agency. Chris Tierney is the first player we've signed, a 78 overall. We're giving this man 1.6 million. I'm not even too sure if he's going to play in the NHL for us. We might have just gave Tierney 1.6 million to play in the AHL. What are we cooking up here? Okay, so I feel like I'm going to make the rule that I can't step in until 5 years have passed. Sidney, Ovechkin, Clayton Keller, Dylan Guenther, Lawson Crouse, Nick Schmaltz, Logan Cooley. You are basically the only guys I can rely on here. I mean, Matias Maccelli, he's going to be a great player. But I do want to mention we've entered our third season here, and we're now on our third coach. For some reason, we just keep firing the coach after one season, and that's definitely not the move considering look at our fourth line. Yeah, you expect us to succeed with that? That doesn't make any sense here. The defense, absolutely abysmal. Okay, yeah, this team is not winning this season. Connor Ingram, I really don't care what you do. You're going to post a 360 again. There's literally nothing you can do about it. Keep in mind, if this team did want to spend money, they could go ahead and do that because we have $25 million in cap space. This team has not spent a single cent yet. Like, eventually, we do have to compete for Stanley Cups, but then again, I understand why we're saving a bit of that money. Logan Cooley needs to be signed, and Sidney Ovechkin needs to be signed, and Ovechkin's getting at least 13 million. So I'm happy to say the Arizona Coyotes are about to get a lot better because we were one of the worst teams in the entire league, fourth last. Yeah, this team was abysmal this season, but at least we're going to be getting a good pick. Like, seriously, this team couldn't do anything right. We were scoring only 3 goals per game and almost allowing 4. This team was really almost allowing 4 goals per game. Bro, there is no excuse for that. I don't care if the defense is absolutely abysmal on this team. Sidney Ovechkin just had 80 points. Ain't no way Sidney Ovechkin, a 96 overall, almost perfect in every single category. He has 5 stars in every single attribute category, and he's only picking up 80 points. That is beyond ridiculous here. When it comes to the goaltending numbers, Connor Ingram, yeah, this is actually better than I thought they would be if I'm being completely honest. I was thinking you were going to almost have a goals against a 4. Like, I don't even want to look at the other goaltenders in the league. Like, look at Samsonov, a 913, Vasilevsky, a 919, Jake Ottinger, a 917. Yeah, we're posting about 870s out here, so yeah, that's definitely not ideal. When it comes to scoring, I just want to see where Connor McDavid is. Where is Connor McDavid? Did another season go by where this man didn't pick up 100 points? Yes, it did. Connor McDavid, you better be at least cracking 90 here. The fact that McDavid's barely cracking 90 just shows you how broken the simulation is right now. Like, Connor McDavid, of all players, can't even record 90 points. What kind of a world are we living in? Meanwhile, Colorado, you're making it to another Stanley Cup final, but unfortunately, you're going to get swept to the New York Rangers. 3 straight seasons Colorado's made to the Stanley Cup final, and they've won 2 of them so far. I have a feeling we're going to see Colorado quite a bit in this video. Now, we haven't had any good luck, so I can't imagine that we're going to jump to the first overall pick. We're actually going to drop to 5 instead. That makes sense. Now, by having the 5th overall pick, we should be guaranteed to get a great prospect here. Gavin McKenna dropped all the way to number 5. Okay, I'll definitely take that. Gavin McKenna, Sidney Ovechkin, these are 2 guys that are going to be sticking around long term. That's a fact. I'm actually low-key happy that we had a top 5 pick because at least we're going to be bringing in good prospects. Then again, Logan Cooley, you probably should be playing on the top line if I'm being completely honest. But you know what? We're going to let the coach cook here. He's making all the calls. And with Sidney Ovechkin's contract coming to an end here, it's time for him to sign an extension. That's exactly what he's doing. But I was hoping we would get a few more years than this. We're only signing a 5-year deal at $10.7 million. I mean, you're getting an absolute steal for a 96 overall, but you got to lock him down for at least 8 years. You can't be doing these 5-year deals. On top of Sidney Ovechkin getting a new deal, Josh Doan is as well, and he's going to be getting $2 million for the next 3 years. I actually really like this deal. Of course, Gavin McKenna, he's getting his entry-level contract. Barrett Hayton, just over $1 million per year for 1 year. That's not too bad of a deal. And when it comes to Connor Ingram, he's also getting an extension here. It's going to be 4.2 for the next 2 years. The only issue I have now is we have $9 million to work with. I don't know where all of our money went, but we have to sign defensemen still. We don't have any on the team. Like, seriously, right now, this is our defense. Sean Durzi, JJ Moser, Travis Dermott. Yeah, this ain't it. This really isn't it. So I've simulated a month into free agency, and I took a look at all the guys we've signed, and we've signed a whole lot of nothing. We have not brought one defenseman to this team. So yeah, it's going to be another year of us being a massive disappointment. Now, the forward core here, I have 0 issues with whatsoever. Like Sidney Ovechkin, Clayton Keller, Dylan Guenther, Matias Maccelli, Logan Cooley, Nick Schmaltz. Then we got Gavin McKenna down here playing some 4th line minutes. It's absolutely stupid to have Gavin McKenna playing 4th line minutes, but you know what? what? It is what it is. When it comes to the defense, this is just abysmal. Like JJ Moser, Sean Dursey, and then 2 pairings that have terrible line fits with guys that are only 80 overalls. Yeah, we're missing the playoffs. I can tell you that right now. Connor Ingram, you're an 86 overall. We're paying you $4.2 million. I'm giving this team 2 more seasons. After that, Stick on the Ice is stepping in and he's going to make some deals for this team. We got to be more competitive than this. Like, honestly, how are we still having the same issues that we saw in year number 1? After year 1, we're like, wow, our defense really sucks here. We should probably improve the defense. What did we proceed to do? Bring Jonathan Marchessault onto the team. Then we signed a bunch of guys to long-term deals. I shouldn't say long-term deals, like Ian Cole only got 2 years. But why are we signing Ian Cole to a 2-year contract when he's 35 years old? This team's just not cooking up right now. Also, we have $9 million in cap space right now, so we could have signed somebody to the team, but we chose not to. Now, I can't even express my disappointment in words. I'm happy to say we weren't a bottom 5 team, but we just missed the playoffs here. And when I said we just missed the playoffs, we were just a couple points shy. 88 points here would have got us into the playoffs. But wait, we had 88 points. We didn't hold the tiebreaker once again. This is the second time Arizona would have made it into the playoffs, except we didn't hold the tiebreaker. We win one more game this season, we're in the playoffs. But how was this team somewhat competitive? Well, Sidney Ovechkin's having a much better season. 44 goals, 53 assists for 97 points here. Clayton Keller, 83 points. Dylan Gunther, he's going to be picking up 71. The offense was better in general. But you know what else was better? The goaltending here. Connor Ingram, 30 wins, 1 shutout, a 905, and a 344. The fact that I consider these numbers right here better tells you how abysmal this team has been. Like, I've reached the point where a 344 is considered a good goals against for this team. Vasilevsky, he was pretty good this season. So was Carter Hart, Stuart Skinner. I wish I had these types of numbers. I would like this goaltender right here and probably this goaltender right here. These numbers I could live with, but I wouldn't want the goaltender. That's a fact. When it comes to the league scoring, where is Connor McDavid? Bro, once again, no, this is beyond ridiculous. Like, this is actually beyond ridiculous here. Did he crack 90? I don't think he cracked 90 points. He was under 90 points. Where is Connor McDavid? I'm assuming I passed his name at this point. Yeah, I definitely passed over him. Shout out to Luke Evangelista, 84 points, but Connor McDavid, 83. Connor McDavid had 83 points this season. Luke Evangelista had more than him. We are not living in a universe where Luke Evangelista has more points than Connor McDavid. I mean, shout out to the absolute legend in Luke Evangelista, but ain't no way that just happened. But even though Connor McDavid wasn't performing in the regular season, I guess he performed in the postseason because Edmonton's winning the Stanley Cup, taking the Bruins down in a 7-game series. If I see Connor McDavid significantly over a point a game, I'm just gonna laugh. Like, this is ridiculous. Bro, 36 points in 25 games. How does that work? Bro has 83 points in 82 games, and then when the postseason comes around, when it's supposed to be tougher to score, 19 goals, 17 assists, 36 points. This is actually a joke. Also, I just thought about it. It probably wouldn't hurt if I looked at awards here, and then we can see what Sidney Ovechkin's been up to. I know for a fact a couple seasons ago we would have taken home the Calder. No, he did. Oh, actually, yes, he did. Connor Bedard won the Calder in 2024-2025. So you're telling me that Connor Bedard got sent back to the Regina Pats for 1 year. Okay, this game makes absolutely no sense here, but Sidney Ovechkin, are you going to be picking up any other awards? He's picking up 1 Frank Selke. Sidney Crosby's won 2 so far in the simulation. But yeah, Sidney Ovechkin, 1 Frank Selke, he won the Calder. But the 1 year we won the Calder, it was kind of a Mickey Mouse Calder because Connor Bedard wasn't even in the running for rookies. No, like, that's actually stupid. Ain't no way they sent Connor Bedard back to the Regina Pats. Bro's an 86 overall, and then Chicago was like, oh no, he's not good enough to play for this team yet. Ridiculous. So I'm not going to complain about picking up a 66 overall, medium top 4 potential power forward. However, I will say, the one thing this team is desperately lacking, a defenseman. So why do we continue to draft forwards here? I'd rather us go off the board a couple picks and select this defenseman right here. Maybe a couple picks later, there's another defenseman. We could have got this guy right here. I'd rather us go off the board by like 5 picks in order to select a defenseman. So during the re-sign phase, we did make 2 main signings here. The first is going to be Lawson Crouse, $2.9 million for the next 3 years. I actually like a deal like this. JJ Moser, on the other hand, a 5x5. I'm not really too sure if you're worth a 5x5. I mean, you're an 84 overall. You have been one of our top defensemen. So maybe that contract's going to age well for us. But I will mention one thing. We have $18 million to work with, almost 19. It's $18.9 million. You better sign a defenseman. We don't need any more forwards on this team. Please, please, please sign an elite defenseman. Now, I really don't care how good the forward core looks here, and it's looking fantastic. I care about the defense. What did we do over the offseason? I'm making a trade here. Ain't no way we are running a TJ Brody, Cale Fleury third pairing. We have to be better than this. It's time for Stick on the Ice to finally step in. I'm bringing in a defenseman for this team. Before I make any trades though, I do want to make sure that we don't have to give extensions to any big time players. I mean, Connor Ingram, he needs one. How much is he looking for? He's looking for 6.7 million. Not really too sure if Connor Ingram's worth that, but you know what? I'm going to let the team make that decision. And then Sean Durzi, he needs an extension as well. I think we're going to find a way to get this one done. So hopefully when I make a trade, we're still going to be able to bring Sean Durzi onto the team. So I think this is the trade we're going to do in order to help the defense here. A prospect, a second and fourth round is going to be sent over to the LA Kings. We're bringing in Brandt Clark. Now granted, Brandt Clark, he's an offensive defenseman here, but you know what? He's got medium elite potential and his trade value is very low. So I think that he's going to turn out to be a great player for us. I'm going to offer this package over. They're saying no. I don't think it's going to take too much more though. What if I include a lucrative 7th round pick? Is that going to be enough to get Brandt Clark? So that's going to be the first trade we're making here. I think we're going to do a couple more. Now let me explain what I'm thinking with this trade. Borgren, Michelli, and a 3rd round pick over to the Dallas Stars. We bring in Thomas Harley. That's going to help the defense a ton. He's going to be a great player for us. Wyatt Johnston, on the other hand, he's going to bring some scoring to the team. Matias Michelli, we really don't need another playmaker, especially if Clayton Keller is going to be sticking around here. And we have Gavin McKenna here because cut to the chase. Gavin McKenna, eventually he's going to play some top 6 minutes for us. He probably should be playing some top 6 minutes for us right now. But you know what? I think you're taking his spot, so we're going to trade you away. It's going to be Bjorgren, Michelli, and a 3rd round pick over to the Dallas Stars. Hopefully this is going to be enough to get the deal done. Of course it isn't. Are we going to have to give up another 2nd round pick? I think we'll have to. Now I don't want to trade all of our picks away because I don't want to get out of hand here, but if I have to give up a 2nd round pick in order to get these 2 guys right here, I'll definitely do it. The other reason I trade Matias Michelli is I want to make sure that all the contracts work here. So Sean Durzi, we still have $17 million in extension dollars, so we could bring you back. And you know what? I don't really trust the CPU here, so I'm actually going to give you a deal myself, and we're going to do 6.4 for the next 5 years. And then when it comes to Connor Ingram, I'm going to let the CPU make that decision. So this is what we're going to be looking at for lines. It's going to be Sidney, Ovechkin, Gavin McKenna, and Clayton Keller on the top line. And then Dylan Gunther, I'm going to move you down to the 2nd line. You're going to play alongside Logan Cooley and Nick Schmaltz. We're going to have a sniper on both lines now. We're definitely going to be able to score some goals. Even Wyatt Johnson, he's going to be scoring some goals on the bottom 6 here. The team's in a better spot for sure. Looking at the defense, that's way better. Thomas Harley, Sean Durzi, Brandt Clark, JJ Moser. This is a top 4 I can definitely live with. The 3rd pairing is a bit weak, but we're in a lot better spot than we have been previously. And when it comes to goaltending, Connor Ingram, we're going to see what you can do this season now that you have a bit of a defense in front of you. So I have to defend myself for what happened this season. Bringing Thomas Harley onto the team, that was the right choice. Bringing Brandt Clark onto the team, that was the right choice. Getting rid of Matias Michelli, not the end of the world here. But yeah, this team struggled. We were a very bad team, 27th in the entire league, 36, 40, and 6. We went from barely missing the playoffs last season to 27th in the entire league. That's not my fault. Like, nothing about what happened this season was my fault. I made all the right moves. Wyatt Johnston, he picked up 50 points here. Sidney Ovechkin, he had 51 goals. Yeah, something about this team just isn't right. Gavin McKenna, maybe I shouldn't have had you play 1st line minutes, but you know what? You're a good young player, 85 overall. You're going to keep on developing. If this team's going to see success, you need to be playing some top line minutes. There's no question about it. When it comes to goaltending, Connor Ingram, I don't know what happened. I really don't know. Maybe Connor Ingram just can't be the guy. Maybe I shouldn't put the blame on him. Maybe I should. I don't even know who should have the blame put on them, but I think it's the coach. We got to get rid of that man. Okay, no wonder we're not seeing success. Bro's overall is a B-. Yeah, you're fired. Plain and simple. I mean, the lone positive is we are going to get a good pick here, but unfortunately, we're dropping from 6 to 8. So yeah, we are going to be getting a top 10 pick, but we should have had a top 5. So with us having the 8th overall pick, ideally, we're picking up a medium elite potential player here, but instead, we're walking away with a medium top 6 potential forward. I am sick and tired of seeing forwards here draft a defenseman. This guy would have been great. Although he's an offensive defenseman, he could immediately jump into the lineup at a 78 overall. This guy right here, a defensive defenseman, he would have been great. This guy right here has medium elite potential. This guy right here, 78 overall defensive defenseman, draft defenseman. This is the main reason why I don't really like doing career simulations, is because when you leave it up to the CPU to cook, they don't cook at all. They can't even boil water. They put some water in the pot and they somehow spill it before they even get to the stove. These guys don't know how to cook. Now, luckily, we really don't have anyone to re-sign here except for Connor Ingram, but I'm assuming we're probably going to let him walk after what happened last season. And every single coach we had just got fired. That's the right decision. So right now we have about $17 million to work with, and we don't have a starting goaltender. I'm assuming we're about to bring a superstar onto the team. So that didn't happen. That really didn't just happen. We had $17 million entering free agency. We are now left with $1 million. So you might be wondering, where did our money go? Well, $12 million went to Phil Peedle. We spent $12.1 million on Phil Peedle on a 1-year deal when he's an 88 overall. How many points did bro have last season? We just spent $12 million on a 71 point player. Bro had 29 goals, 42 assists for 71 points, 12.1 million. And to make things even worse, who is our other free agent signing? Lyubushkin. We went out here and gave Lyubushkin 2.2 for next season at 34 years old. That's all of our money. We have $1.4 million left in cap space, and these are the two goaltenders we have right now. A 78 overall and a 66. Stick on the ice has to step in once again. So this is the deal we have to do. Nick Schmaltz, we got to ditch this contract. At 32 years old, you're an 84 overall. I can't afford to pay you $6.5 million for the next 4 years. That's not going to work here. Sullivan, you're a medium-elite potential goaltender, only a 58 overall. I don't believe that you're going to turn into a true elite potential goaltender, so I'm okay with trading you away here. And then this young player, we're throwing into the deal just so we can make the trade values match. Askarov, you're going to be the starting goaltender from here on out. They're going to be saying no to this deal, but a 7th rounder will make the difference. So we're picking up our starting goaltender for the next 6 seasons in Askarov. He's pretty good right now, an 87 overall, superstar X factor, only 26 years old. He's reaching that elite potential, no question about it. And I'm happy to say Arizona finally has their goaltender. We're going to be all right. Now this team right here has to do it. We have to get into the playoffs. Sidney, Ovechkin, Dylan Gunther, Clayton Keller, Lawson Crouse, Logan Cooley, Gavin McKenna, Phil Peedle, Wyatt Johnston. This forward core is definitely going to be picking up points, but I've said that for the last 3 years now. It just never seems to happen. Defensively, Thomas Harley, Sean Dursey, we got Brant Clark here, we got JJ Moser. They got some decent line fits. We also have Oli Mata on the team. Yeah, it's saying a lot about the contract situation on this team. We are not spending the cap very well. However, we do have a goaltender we can rely on, 88 overall Askarov. We have him locked down for the next 6 seasons. This team better make the playoffs. So you guys better lock in this season. No more excuses. We're in the year 2028 and we are yet to see any playoff success. We're yet to even see the playoffs, but that's going to change right now. Askarov, you've been the missing piece all along. We just lost back-to-back preseason games. We're cooked, aren't we? Now a season like this just brings a tear to my eye. It finally happened after the constant disappointment. 6th in the entire league, a 46-27-9 record. Askarov, you saved the team. Like, without Askarov, this probably isn't happening. Sidney Ovechkin, you were a massive disappointment, bro. You had 93 points. You are a 96 overall, and these are your stats right here. You're telling me you can only pick up 93 points? You're supposed to be this elite goal scorer. You're a great two-way player, but come on, man. You need to be doing better than this. Can't complain with the rest of the production from the players here. We had some great offensive depth. Askarov, this isn't actually that good. 33 wins, a 901, a 309. Okay, yeah, what did we do this season? How come we were so good? Because those numbers right there from the goaltender are telling me that we're not that great of a defensive team. We are relying way too much on our scoring, and that's probably not going to work in the playoffs. Now, it might have taken till 2029 for Arizona to make the playoffs, but we're not showing up in 2029. We're currently down 3-1 against the Vancouver Canucks. We better not lose in the first round here. We got to spark a massive comeback, and that's going to begin with a win in game number 6 here. Okay, that is tough. 7-0. 7-0 is definitely not the way you want to go out. Now, I'm happy to say we at least made the playoffs here. We won 2 games in the first round, but that's not going to be enough. Detroit's going to be sweeping the Colorado Avalanche in the Stanley Cup final. Yet again, the Colorado Avalanche are making the Stanley Cup final. Sidney Ovechkin, in your first postseason appearance, really can't complain with what you did here. 7 points in 6 games, 2 goals, 5 assists. I'm looking for a few more goals considering you are supposed to be an elite scorer, but yeah, I'll take these numbers right here. Meanwhile, Askarov, you almost had a goals against of 4. That's all I need to say. Look at that goals against. You were pushing 4 goals allowed per game. Yikes. Now, the past couple seasons, I haven't really looked at the league leaders, but the other thing I haven't looked at, awards, and we need to see what Sidney Ovechkin's been up to. I doubt he's going to be winning any big time awards here, but he might be taking home the Selke. You just never know. Who's taking home the Selke this season? It looks like it's going to be Nico Hischier. So another season goes by with Sidney Ovechkin not winning a Stanley Cup, and he's not taking home the Frank Selke. So what is bro really doing out there? Okay, I want to take back all the disrespect I sent over to the Arizona Coyotes GM, because I think bro might have been cooking when he gave Phil Peedle that deal. He signed Phil Peedle just for us to give him an extension the following season at a very reasonable cap hit, $6.7 million for the next 3. He's an 87 overall. He's got 3 X factors. I think that's actually an incredible move. And you know what else is a great move? Wyatt Johnson returning to the team, and we're also going to be giving him a pretty reasonable deal, 5.7 for the next 5. The only question I have though, where's Gavin McKenna? Because I don't think we've given him an extension yet. Oh, never mind. Yes, we did. So Gavin McKenna is already locked down. We gave him 7.6 million for the next 3 years. Would have preferred a longer term deal, but at least he's locked down. So all the important pieces are locked down. We only have $1 million in cap space. No point stopping during free agency. Let's just get right to next season, and let's hope this team can go on a deep postseason run. They've got a bit of experience under their belt. They're ready to compete with the best in the league now. So plain and simple, this team is definitely built for success this season. The forward core is looking phenomenal. +3, +4, +1. We have an 85 and an 87 on our third line. We got some depth scoring. Liam Greentree, he's slowly turning into a great player. I think it makes a bit more sense for him to play on the third line here. We move this guy down to the fourth line. Yeah, this is making a lot more sense for the team, so that's what we're doing. Defensively, of course, the top guys are still here. Thomas Harley, Sean Dursey, Brant Clark, JJ Moser. The third pairing might be a bit weak, but you know what? We can live with the players we have here, especially with Ashcroft in between the pipes. 87 overall. He's got exact elite potential now. He didn't necessarily have the greatest numbers last season, but I think that's about to change here. A lot of the young players got even better, and I think we're going to be better defensively. I just think this team's going to be better all around. So I'm happy that I don't have to make any trades here, and we can actually trust the CPU a little bit here. However, there is a couple players on expiring contracts, but I'm going to leave that up for the CPU to decide whether we bring them back or not. Ideally, we try to keep everyone on this team, but eventually the salary cap does catch up to you. So once again, the Arizona Coyotes are going to be looking incredible, but we're even better this season. Third in the entire league with a 49, 23, and 10 record. We're one of the favorites to win the Stanley Cup. We just need to show up when it matters most. Last year in the postseason, we're not going to talk about what happened. It was a disappointing loss to the Vancouver Canucks. The team's looking better all around here. Sidney Ovechkin, 51 goals. At this point, I've just given up that you're going to be like a 120 point guy. I had incredibly high expectations for you, and you have not lived up to the hype here. I was hoping you would go down as one of the greatest goal scorers of all time and one of the greatest players of all time, but somehow, even though you're a combination of Sidney Crosby and Alexander Ovechkin, you're worse than both players. Not really too sure how that works. Meanwhile, when it comes to Ashcroft, your numbers I actually don't even care about. Vanacek, how are you this bad? An 886 and a 403. That's honestly impressive. Like, bro really had a goals against worse than 3. Yeah, that is something. That is certainly something. But you know what? I don't care if we're top 3 in the entire league. We have the Dallas Stars in the first round, a potential second round matchup against the St. Louis Blues. We're definitely going to have the toughest route to the Stanley Cup final. So although we were top 3 in the entire league, that doesn't mean things are going to be easy for us. We're exchanging games with the Dallas Stars so far, so we got to win game 5 if we're hoping to win this series. And unfortunately, we're going to be dropping game 5 in OT, so we have to respond in game 6 in order to stay alive. Are we going to be able to do that? Yes, we are. Game 7, Arizona has a chance to advance to the second round in what would probably be like 20 years. Because at this point, when was the last time the Arizona Coyotes would have been somewhat competitive? It would have been a very long time ago. Okay, Dallas is picking up the first 2 goals of the game. Gavin McKenna is going to respond in the second period. We need to have a big third period if we want to advance to the second round, and I think that's going to be happening. Sidney Ovechkin and Gavin McKenna, 2 of the greatest. Nah, like real talk, we did not deserve to win that series, but you know what? The big time players showed up when it mattered most, and Dylan Guenther, you're somehow leading the team through the first round. Not too sure how that works, but you know what? I'll take it. Now, I actually wish we would have matched up against the St. Louis Blues in the second round. I don't care if they were the better team or not. We have to take on the Colorado Avalanche now. They have dominated this entire video so far, and I'm hoping that they don't dominate right here because we have to somehow get past them. So it looks like time has finally ran out for the Colorado Avalanche. We have a 3-1 series lead on them, and we're going to close it out here in game number 5. We've reached the conference finals with the Arizona Coyotes. Up next is the Anaheim Ducks, but Anaheim, they're an incredible team so far, but I guess they're not good enough. The offense is flying for us, and we've reached the Stanley Cup final. So it all comes down to this one final matchup. The Arizona Coyotes taking on the Buffalo Sabres. 2 great teams. Sidney Ovechkin, he's looking to win his first Stanley Cup. The Arizona Coyotes are looking to win their first Stanley Cup in franchise history, but so are the Buffalo Sabres. Somebody's going to be winning their first here. So it all comes down to a 7-game series. Who's going to be coming out on top? The Arizona Coyotes or the Buffalo Sabres? Well, it's going back and forth the entire way. Game 5, someone's going to be taking the lead. We are 1 game away from hoisting a Stanley Cup. Can we do it in game 6? We need game 7 here. It all comes down to 1 game. Winner gets the Stanley Cup. Now, what I need right here is a Sidney Ovechkin masterclass. I need him to step up when it matters most. We got this in the bag. As long as we don't choke in the third period and allow 6 goals, we're taking home the Stanley Cup. We're winning this one 6-1. And somehow Sidney Ovechkin did not show up in this game. He did not record a single goal. But who cares? The Arizona Coyotes and Sidney Ovechkin, Stanley Cup champions. Now, although Sidney Ovechkin didn't have any goals, he did have 2 assists in this game, so when you needed him, he definitely showed up. So it finally happened. The Arizona Coyotes and Sidney Ovechkin are Stanley Cup champions. 18 goals, 9 assists for 27 points. He was looking absolutely elite in the postseason, but you know who else must have been elite? Askarov, 15 wins, 0 shots, a 913 to 281. And Vanacek, you had to step in for 50 minutes, and somehow you helped us get a win here, a 931 to 236. I'm happy to see you performed a lot better than what you did in the regular season. But the real question is, who is taking home the Conn Smythe? Of course, the Arizona Coyotes, Stanley Cup champions, but I better see Sidney Ovechkin's name here. He was definitely the best player on the team, and yes, he is. He's taking home the Conn Smythe. Sidney Ovechkin, this is the beginning of our dynasty. As long as we can keep everyone together here, like if we somehow screw up and start losing a bunch of players, then this team could be in trouble, but I don't think that's going to be happening. Now, we might have won a Stanley Cup, but at what cost? Lawson Crouse, we're going to be paying you accordingly. You're an 85 overall, so we're going to give you 5.4 million, but there is one issue with the team right now. There is one guy that we weren't able to sign, and who is that? Well, he was a key piece for this team, Logan Cooley. He's qualified as an RFA right now. We don't have the money to sign him. How much is he looking for anyway? $12 million. Okay, yeah, you're not being re-signed to this team. I don't know what we're going to do with Logan Cooley. I'm going to let the game decide that one, but on top of that, Dylan Guenther, you need an extension, and Sidney Ovechkin, you're going to need an extension. I don't know what this team's going to do. We're definitely going to get worse over the next couple of years. The one good thing though, Askarov, he's going to be locked down here, so we won't be losing him. So there's no point stopping in free agency. We have zero money to work with here, but are we going to be able to re-sign Logan Cooley, or should I just trade him away while his value's at its highest? Because right now things are not looking good for the team. Like, we have give or take $3 million to work with, and Logan Cooley wants $12 million. I don't know what we're going to do with him, because we have to make sure that Sidney Ovechkin gets an extension. We got to make sure Dylan Guenther gets an extension. What's the plan with Logan Cooley? I couldn't tell you. Now, before I even look at our lines here, I'm under the impression that Logan Cooley doesn't get re-signed here, but the real question is, have we given Sidney Ovechkin an extension? Yes, we have. He's getting 12.5 million. That's going to be a pretty solid deal for him if it wasn't only one season. Why did you give this man 12.5 for 1 year? Yeah, this team's not cooking, so we got to figure out what we're going to do with Logan Cooley here. Do we trade him away? I mean, Wall, we kind of got to give him an extension as well. This team's about to run into some cap trouble, aren't we? So the team has taken a slight step back with the loss of Logan Cooley this season. I'm still contemplating trading him away here. I mean, it doesn't really make sense because he is one of our better players, but if we can't afford to keep him here, then I think we have to trade him away. The forward core is looking great. The defense is also looking great. It's the same old players. I guess Matejchuk's going to be joining the team this season. Soderstrom's also going to be joining the team. And when it comes to the goaltending, we already know what that's looking like. Askarov sticking around here, and so is Vanacek. How much money did we give him, though? $900K? That's not too bad. For some reason, I just thought the Arizona Coyotes would throw $3 million at him to be our backup, but $900K, that can certainly work for us. As long as he doesn't post a goals against a 4 again. Yeah, because last season that dude was not cooking. So I've made the executive decision that Logan Cooley is going to be traded away here. This team's just in a really tough position right now, and we can't afford to pay him. But you know what, Snyder, you could be a great player for us. You have 3 years left on your entry-level contract. You're an 83 overall. You're going to continue to get better year after year. I could see you playing some top 6 minutes for us in the future. But you know what? You can play for us right now. Logan Cooley, you can't. We just don't have the money. We're going 1-for-1 here. They're saying we're a bit low, but I'll include a 7th rounder and we'll get this deal done. The reason I'm making this deal is under no circumstances are we going to have enough money for Logan Cooley. And after this season, I do believe he becomes a UFA. So that means he's just going to walk for nothing. If he's walking for nothing and he's not playing for us this season, we better trade him away. Snyder, you can at least play for us for the next 3. We're making this deal. So the pickup of Snyder was definitely the move here because he has a fantastic fit on the second line. He's giving this line a +3 boost, and we have him locked down for the next 3 at a great cap hit. We're going to be competing for a Stanley Cup this season, and we might even be going back to back. So I don't know what changed with this team, but for some reason, offensively, we were way better this season. 3rd in the entire league, a 54-21-7 record, over 4 goals per game. That's going to be best in the entire league. However, the defense is definitely questionable here. 3.22 is not one of the best, but it's certainly not one of the worst. But there is one thing we can celebrate. Sidney Ovechkin's finally breaking out here. You saw that right. 119 points, 61 goals, 58 assists. The team's finally seen success under Sidney Ovechkin, and he's picking up points here. You love to see it. When it comes to the goaltending, very questionable. I'm not going to lie. 42 wins, 2 shouts, a 900 save percentage, and a 309. But then again, look at Vanacek's numbers. He had a 12-3 record with an 888 and a 338. So as long as we outscore our problems, we're going to continue to win. However, the only issue I have is when the postseason comes around, things tighten up. Defense is a lot better here. So can you outscore your problems in the postseason? We're about to find that out. I mean, the first thing I should do before we even get into the postseason, we got to look at the league leaders. We got to see where Sidney Ovechkin's sitting because he might be leading the league in points. Okay, never mind. St. Louis legend Pavel Buchnevich, 130 points in 82 games, 45 goals, 85 helpers. And it doesn't even look like Sidney Ovechkin's going to be winning the Rocket Richard this season. He's finishing 4th in goals. Connor Bedard, he's got 63 here. Semenoff, he's got 66, and so does Austin Matthews. But you know what? A 66 goal campaign for Sidney Ovechkin. He's finally living up to the hype. Meanwhile, Askarov, hey, you were second in wins this season. You have a chance to winning the Vezina, but I think that's got to go to Spencer Knight. He was looking fantastic. So let the postseason begin and let the offense continue to flow here. We got a 3-1 series lead, and we're taking down the Nashville Predators in a 5-game series. So we've moved on to the second round, and we're going to see the Arizona Coyotes taking on the Chicago Blackhawks. We know what Connor Bedard did during the regular season. He was able to find the back of the net, but we're going to stop him here. And it looks like the offense is going to keep on rolling here. As long as our offense doesn't stop, we're going to keep on winning games. But we've dropped back to back here because the offense has slowed up a little bit. We had a 3-0 series lead. We're not blowing that. We're going to close it out in game number 6 here. A 3-2 victory, I'll take it. So Connor Bedard's offense wasn't enough to get past the Arizona Coyotes, but now we have the better Connor and Connor McDavid. He might be able to get past us. Once the postseason comes around, that man is absolutely elite, and with the help of Leon Draisaitl at his side, it could be a tough matchup for us. But similar to Connor Bedard and the Chicago Blackhawks, nobody can match up with the Arizona Coyotes right now. Can we close out in game number 5? No, we can't. We're dropping that one 4-3, but can we close it out in game number 6? All right, we were up 3-1 in the series, and now we're off to game 7. A chance at blowing a 3-1 series lead and not making it to the Stanley Cup final? That can't happen. So here we go, game 7, the Arizona Coyotes taking on the Edmonton Oilers. It looks like Bemstrom's going to be picking up the first goal of the game here, but Villiers picking up the second. Arizona's got to wake up, and you know who else has to wake up? Sidney Ovechkin, create the comeback here. Okay, yeah, we didn't even score. Yeah, that is a tough way to go out. 2-0 in game number 7. We had a 3-1 series lead. Sidney Ovechkin, I need you to create some momentum there, but we weren't able to make the comeback. Falling in the conference finals, that's a tough way to go out, especially when you're trying to repeat, but you were pretty solid in the postseason. I mean, you were more than solid. 13 goals, 13 assists, 26 points in 18 games here. You had 5-game winning goals. Yeah, you were pretty good. Like, you were absolutely elite. But it doesn't matter how elite Sidney Ovechkin is because we are falling in the conference finals, and Edmonton's going to go on to win the Stanley Cup, beating the Detroit Red Wings. So if we didn't blow that 3-1 series lead and close it out against the Edmonton Oilers, we probably would have won back-to-back cups here. That's an absolute shame. But you know what? As long as Sidney Ovechkin takes home some awards this season, then I'll forget what happened. He's going to be taking home the heart as the most valuable player in the league. You'll love to see it. It's good to see Sidney Ovechkin finally getting a bit of the respect he deserves here. And he's also going to be taking home the Selke this season. That's going to be his second of the video. He's also taking home the Ted Lindsay. Okay, Sidney Ovechkin's taking home all the awards this season. Good to see him finally getting the respect he deserves. So the Arizona Coyotes had some very difficult decisions to make here. Brandt Clark, of course, we want to keep you around 8.1 million. Connor Geekie, here's 2.9 for the next 2. Liam Greentree, 3.1 for the next 2. I wish we could have gotten more years with you, but you know it's not the end of the world. But Tkachuk, I'm not really liking this contract right here. 3.2 million for the next 2. You're only an 81 overall, especially considering one guy we're not going to be bringing back now. And which player are we not going to be bringing back here? Well, somebody that just had a career season with the team, Dylan Guenther. We don't have the money for him anymore, so he's going to be walking to free agency. That's a big loss for the team right here. However, with the loss of Dylan Guenther, that does mean one thing. We are going to have some money to work with here, but I don't think we're actually going to have as much as I think, because Denton Mateychuk, he got a pretty big contract there. Brandt Clark got a big contract. There was a handful of players that were given bags, and one guy that we have to make sure that we can re-sign to this team, Sidney Ovechkin. We can't be having him walk. So we have $6.3 million to work with here. I wouldn't try to do too much here. I would probably just make 1 or 2 small moves, sign players to 1-year deals. You got to make sure you have the money to re-sign Sidney Ovechkin, Gavin McKenna, and Thomas Harley. We can't be losing anyone. Now, not only is the team running into some salary cap problems right now, but we're slowly losing a lot of the key pieces. Dylan Guenther's not here anymore. Logan Cooley's not here. I mean, we have Snyder now, and he's holding it down here on the second line, but we have an 82 overall loss in Krause here. Like, this team is clearly not the team they used to be. Phil Pedal, that contract is not aged well. The Lawson Krause one's aged probably even worse than that. 5.4 million for the next 2, and he's an 82 overall. This team's just not cooking right now. I mean, luckily our defense is really good. I mean, Thomas Harley, Sean Dursey, Brandt Clark, we got a big 3 that we can rely on here. And when it comes to a goaltender, Askarov, I believe in you. However, I'm not really too sure if I believe in the 76 overall backup. He has medium backup potential. Was he really the best available? available, but I mean, if we're not paying him too much, I'll definitely take it. 830K, that's a move. Now, though Arizona continues to lose players season after season, we're still competing with the best in the league. I'm actually very surprised that we're this good this season. Third with a 49, 26, and 7 record. I thought we were going to take a massive step back after losing Logan Cooley, but I mean, we replaced him with a good player. But Dylan Guenther, we lost him and didn't really replace him with anything, and we're still finding a way to finish top 3. However, the scoring definitely took a step back, and Sidney Ovechkin, you weren't that elite this season. I mean, you were still a great player, 56 goals, 41 helpers, but only 97 points. By rights, you should be over 100 points every single season. That's what you should be averaging. When it comes to the goaltending numbers, I don't even know how you're posting these numbers and picking up 41 wins. Like, Ashcroft really has an 897 and a 305, but still found a way to win 41 games here. Like, let's just compare him to some of the other goaltenders in the league. Like, Kochetkov here is finishing with one less win, but he had a 921 and a 246. These are very different numbers. But you know what? A round of applause for Connor McDavid. He's picking up 106 points this season. He's dropped to an 89 overall. You are telling me the best season he has had since we started this video is once he started declining. At an 89 overall, he's having better numbers than when he was a 97. Yeah, because that makes so much sense here. The other scoring numbers, not really surprised by anyone here. Now, Arizona knows what they have to do in order to win a Stanley Cup, so it's time for us to show up against the Chicago Blackhawks. That's who we have in the first round. Now, I'm sad to say, but I think reality is finally caught up with the Arizona Coyotes. Without Dylan Guenther, we're just not the same team we used to be. Not only did we lose in the first round, though, we got swept. This team was dominated from start to finish. We couldn't even compete with Chicago. It's a sad way to go out. Like, I don't even want to look at the numbers. Gavin McKenna leading the way with 3 points, but I guess there is one thing we have to check on. Sidney Ovechkin, have you been given an extension yet? It doesn't look like it. Do I have to give you an extension myself? I think that's what we're doing. And of course, I want to make sure you're locked down long term. So this is the deal I'm going to be giving Sidney Ovechkin here. We're going to be doing $12 million for the next 8 seasons. You have to be a Coyote for life. So we at least have Sidney Ovechkin locked down for the next couple of years, 8 years to be exact. And that's at a pretty good price tag. I mean, only $12 million, and he's getting paid 12.5 right now. So yeah, I'll definitely take a contract like that. The Columbus Blue Jackets are going to make it all the way to the Stanley Cup final, taking down the Vegas Golden Knights in a 7-game series. Good to see Columbus has finally won their first Stanley Cup and finally completed their so-called rebuild. Now, with the season that Sidney Ovechkin just had, I'm not expecting too much. He might be able to take home the Frank Selke, but it looks like that's going to Elias Pettersson. Now, when we signed Sidney Ovechkin, we basically used all the cap space we had left, so we are going to be losing a couple players here in free agency, and they're going to be some of the players that have played some valuable minutes for us. Now, unfortunately, the team did have some cap space, and we spent it like absolute idiots. Adam Benak, at 25 years old, you're an 83 overall. Clearly, you're only worth maybe like $2.5, $3 million. Here's $5 million for the next 2 years, and then when it comes to Justin Poirier, 2.5 for the next 2. So that's $7 million, and by using that money, we're going to be losing some players here. And who is that player mainly going to be? Well, that's going to be JJ Moser. He played some big defensive minutes for us, but unfortunately his time has passed here. But that's actually not the only guy we're losing here, because there is one guy we already released into free agency. That's Filipino. He's also not going to be returning to the team here. Unless we lost Filipino last season. I mean, Filipino's no longer on the team. For some reason, I do believe he was still on our team for this season, but I can't quite remember. All I know is Filipino is no longer on the Arizona Coyotes. It's sad to watch this team's fall off. Like, we understand how good we used to be in the past. Like, I remember the days when we had 87 overalls on our third line. That's just not the case anymore. However, the players we do have, they have great line fits, a +2 boost on the fourth line, a +1 on the third line, and if we got these top players playing the big minutes, we're still going to be able to compete with the best in the league. When it comes to the defense, the only issue I have is the second pairing here. Matejchuk, I think we're going to move you down to the third pairing just so we don't have that -2 boost here. These guys are looking pretty solid. We have a big 3 here of defensemen, Thomas Harley, Sean Dursey, Brant Clark, and then when it comes to the goaltending, Ashcroft's still here, but his contract's going to be ending pretty soon here. How many years left does he have? He's got 2 years remaining. We got to make sure that we can re-sign him in the future. If he's wanting $11 million though, that might not be the move. And I also don't even think we'll have the money for him. But let's not worry about an Ashcroft extension right now, because we don't have to give it to him yet. We got to win another Stanley Cup before we worry about that. So Arizona, you've been top 3 in the entire league the past 3-4 years now, but you are yet to finish number 1 in the entire league. Let's do that this season. Now, are we really surprised that the team saw a bit of a decline in production this season? 7th in the entire league with a 46, 26, and 10 record. Face it, we're going to be a good regular season team, but when the playoffs come around, we've lost too many good pieces for us to be able to compete with the best. But you never know, you get a hot goaltender and things can change. However, things definitely changed with Sidney Ovechkin here. Only 85 points, 52 goals. He's just not the player he used to be 2 seasons ago. When he was 25 years old, he was in his prime, but he's not that guy anymore. Meanwhile, Askarov, I mean, hey, your goals against is below 3, so that's actually a good sign for what's to come. So looking at the leading scorers here, there's some surprises here. Luke Wolski, he's going to be showing up here. Solomon Standard, haven't heard of him before, but there is one guy that stands alone. Kotkaniemi is picking up 103 points this season. Where did this man come from? I mean, bro has been very good in the simulation so far, but this is a new high for him, 103 points. Where did that come from? Even Novak, he's picking up 99 points here. Okay, there's a lot of nonsense going on. Lysel's picking up 97. Okay, this is beyond ridiculous. We have a ton of guys here that are definitely exceeding expectations. At this point, I'm fully expecting to see Oscar Sundqvist as one of the top leading scorers. When it comes to goaltending, this isn't really that much of a surprise. It's going to be Jesper Wallstedt. So we saw a lot of nonsense when it came to scoring during the regular season, so maybe the nonsense can continue right here and Arizona can go on a deep run. Now, I was about to say it's been a very low scoring series, and then game number 4 happened. We're allowing 8 goals in that one. We're scoring 4 though, so yeah, the offense is slowly picking up here. We're going to be dropping another one where we're allowing a lot of goals. Okay, the defense has to wake up if we want to beat the Nashville Predators, and it doesn't look like it's going to be waking up here. We ended up allowing 17 goals in a 3-game span. Yeah, that's definitely not going to win you a Stanley Cup. So after taking down the Arizona Coyotes, Nashville's going to go on a run all the way to the Stanley Cup final, but they're going to match up against the Florida Panthers, and Florida's just too elite, and Florida's going to take the Preds down in a sweep. Meanwhile, I don't really care about our offensive stats during the postseason. I need to see these goaltending numbers. Askarov, this is actually better than what I thought it would be. Like, you allowed 17 goals in a 3-game span, but then again, those other 3 games you did play, you only allowed like 2 goals. So yeah, I guess this goals against does make sense, but I did think you were going to have a save percentage of like a 750 and a goals against of like a 450. So those first 3 games definitely saved your stats. And on top of the team not bringing home any hardware this season, neither is Sidney Ovechkin. He's not even going to be taking home the Frank Selke. That's going to Logan Stankoven. So I'm going to say this right now. Arizona, you better be cooking something up here, because not only have you not signed one of your best players in Snyder here, he's an RFA. For some reason, you didn't give him a contract during the re-sign phase, but you also let Sean Durzi walk. You have $24 million in cap space. You let Sean Durzi walk, and right now, Schneider doesn't even have a contract. So you guys better be cooking up something special in free agency. You better be bringing a superstar here. So thankfully, we are going to be keeping Snyder around here, and this is what the contract's looking like. $11.7 million for the next 7 years. I'm very happy that we did a long-term deal with him. However, we still need to fix that defense. We lost one of our best defensemen, and right now all that's left, Thomas Harley, Brant Clark, and 70 overall players. We're not going to be able to make the playoffs if we're rocking 70 overall players on our second and third pairing. So Sidney Ovechkin, Gavin McKenna, Snyder, Clayton Keller, Wyatt Johnson, you guys have to do something special this season, because if you guys aren't all putting up at minimum 70 points, we're probably not making the postseason. The bottom 6 is looking weak. We have a 79 overall here. We actually have 2 79 overalls here. And when it comes to the defense, where did we spend our money? Thomas Harley, Brant Clark, you're the top 2 guys here. I thought we had $12 million in cap space left. Did we sign a backup goaltender or something? Yeah, we did. We have this 81 overall, but he's on his rookie deal right now. Where did the rest of our money go? Like, did we give this guy an absolute bag or something? We gave him $4 million. He's an 82 overall at 30 years old. We just gave him $4 million. Benak, we already knew what he was getting. Poirier, we knew what he was getting. Martin Mitchell, $1.8 million. That's a bit much. Yeah, Terry Walters, $2 million. This team's not looking that great right now. Like, the defense, we're not really paying them too much money. Do we have a guy who's a healthy scratch that we paid a lot of money? Like, where did all the money for this team go? So we really didn't spend any money. We signed a couple guys for the bottom 6 that costed us like $3-4 million, and we have $8 million left in cap space. We're trying to win Stanley Cups and you guys aren't spending money. What's the thought process behind that? So not only are we at a disadvantage because we spent $8 million less than basically all the teams that are going to be competing, but we also have a defensive pairing that consists of really only 2 good defensemen. Then we have 70 overalls for the rest. Not the greatest sign. But you know what? If these guys can step up when it matters most, then maybe we'll actually be able to survive. Now, this is a sight you love to see. The St. Louis Blues, first in the entire league, a 54-25-3 record. This team's absolutely dominating. The offense is fantastic. The defense is a bit mid though. I'm not gonna lie, I can't gas them up that much. Oh yeah, and then Arizona's 6th in the entire league if you seem to care about that at all. But real talk, how did Arizona just have a 50-win season, and how was Sidney Ovechkin 2nd on the team in scoring? Snyder's picking up 55 here. Ovechkin, it looks like your time's running out here. We have a new superstar and his name is AJ Snyder. Nah, Snyder's really turning out to be a great pickup for us. It was definitely worth trading Logan Cooley away. Meanwhile, Ashcroft, okay, I did not realize we had a good defense this season. I need to go look at that defense again because Ashcroft really had a 916 and a 262. For a bit of context, let's look at every season he's been with the team. A 904 and a 291, an 897 and a 305, 900, 309. A 908 isn't too bad and a 284 aren't bad considering some of these other numbers, but a 916 to 262. Arizona, how are we that good with those defensive pairings? Because right now we only have 2 good defensemen. But you know what? The big time players are stepping up for us and I got to give them credit. They're looking better than I thought they would. Gabriel Degg, he's going to be leading all goaltenders in wins here. He's picking up 46. And then when it comes to leading the league in scoring, Trevor Zegras. That is something. But Robert Thomas, 5th in the entire league, as it should be, finally getting the respect he deserves. So with Arizona having a great defense, that actually might be the difference maker in this postseason run for us. The past couple years, we've been very bad defensively, but this team so far, they can hold it down with the best. We have the Minnesota Wild first, and we're going to ignore the fact that St. Louis lost game number 1. So we've been going back and forth with the Minnesota Wild. We've been exchanging games. Game 5 is going to be deciding who's going to be taking the lead in the series, and it looks like it's going to be the Arizona Coyotes. Can we close out and advance to the second round? Yes, we can. We haven't been to the second round in a while, but last time we were in the second round, we went on a bit of a run. I think we actually ended up losing in the conference finals, so just ignore what I said there. Also, apparently paying this guy how much we did is actually the right decision. He's leading us in postseason scoring right now. I had questions about Bro at the beginning of the season, but he's living up to the hype. But this is where things are about to get difficult for us. The St. Louis Blues in the second round. Let's pack our bags early. We're not getting past them. They have Robert Thomas, and that's really all you need. Now, what is going on? The Arizona Coyotes are actually legit, and as long as we don't blow a 3-1 series lead, we're going to be advancing a 5-game series against the St. Louis Blues. How does that even make sense? Now, it's been a handful of years since we've matched up against this team in the postseason, but I want to get revenge against the Edmonton Oilers. Last time we met them in the postseason, we had a 3-1 series lead, and then we had a massive collapse leading to the Edmonton Oilers winning a Stanley Cup. That's not going to happen this time. We're getting past Edmonton, and we're winning another Stanley Cup with Sidney Ovechkin. So the last time we played the Edmonton Oilers, we had a 3-1 series lead, and we ended up losing. But this time, Edmonton's got the 3-1 series lead, and we're making the comeback. Never mind, we're losing at 5 games. Yeah, so that didn't really age too well for us. So I will say the one thing that definitely held us back in that series against the Edmonton Oilers is the fact that Sidney Ovechkin had 9 goals entering the conference finals. He finished with 10 goals, meaning in those last 5 games, he only picked up 1 goal. He's supposed to be the big time goal scorer for us, and he didn't show up when it mattered. He had 3 game-winning goals in the first 2 rounds. When it came to the conference finals, he was only able to pick up 1 goal. And then this guy right here, you might have been great in the first round, but you're finishing with 12 points and you're minus 10. So yeah, that's definitely not the move. Ashcroft, I mean, your numbers were better in the postseason, but you set a very low standard last year. You did help us get to the conference finals though, so that's shows me that this team still can compete somehow. I mean, speaking of Ashcroft, his contract is expiring this season. I just thought about that. So let's see how much he's going to be getting paid. I'm assuming we would have given him an extension by now. Ashcroft, what are you looking at? Okay, we can't be losing everyone. If we lose Benek and we lose Brant Clark, this team doesn't have a hope of making the postseason next year. Unless we replace them with better players, but I've seen how this team spends money. I don't think that's going to be happening. I mean, I guess the lone positive is Edmonton is going to lose in the Stanley Cup final. If you're going to beat us in the conference finals, I don't want you to see success in the Stanley Cup final. Then again, if you beat the Carolina Hurricanes, then I could say if we beat you, we would have won the Stanley Cup. Because yeah, even if we beat Edmonton, by that logic, we would have lost to Carolina in the Stanley Cup final. I'm just straight yapping here. We lost in the conference finals. That's the only important thing to note. Okay, so I'm going to be completely honest. I have no clue what we're doing here. Walter's at 23 years old. He's an 80 overall and he has medium top 6 potential. And so far, we haven't qualified him as an RFA. We have $23 million to work with. Are we just going to let this guy walk into free agency? If we do that, I have no clue what the Arizona Coyotes are thinking. But yeah, I think we just lost Walters. So yeah, that man is now a free agent. I have no clue what the team was thinking there. Not only does that player have a bit of value, but he was still young enough that he could have turned into a really good player for us. However, I do have some good news here. Ashcroft is going to be re-signed, so he's going to be sticking around on the team here, and we're going to be giving him $8.6 million for the next 4 years. Given what this guy's done for us, I'm okay with that contract. Now, we do have $23 million to work with, so clearly we're going to bring some elite players onto the team and not just a bunch of depth pieces. Yeah, these are the 3 guys we're signing, and we're giving this 80 overall 4.7 million. Not really too sure what the thought process is there. He's only 25 years old. I don't really think he's going to be getting too much better, but yeah, 4.7 million for him, probably not ideal. So I guess the plan is Sidney Ovechkin really just has to lead the way here, because him, Gavin McKenna, and Snyder are really our only good players left. Clayton Keller, he's 36 years old. He's dropped to an 83 overall. I mean, Wyatt Johnston's still pretty good. He's an 85 overall. But here's the defense. We have Thomas Harley, and then we have Henry Jokiharju, who's 35 years old, and then we have these guys right here. So yeah, not really too sure what we're doing here when it comes to goaltending. We at least still have Askarov, but yeah, I do not think this is a playoff team. I would not be overly surprised if we were bottom 5. This just looks horrible. Now I'm going to consider it an absolute miracle in this team making the playoffs here. 10th in the entire league with a 46-28-8 record. There is no reason that we should be this good right now. We basically have no defensemen other than Thomas Harley, and our bottom 6 is absolutely abysmal here. But you know what? Gavin McKenna and Sidney Ovechkin, if you're having seasons like this, I understand why we're seeing success. Even Snyder, he's picking up 97 points here, and the goaltending, Askarov, these are not good numbers. I can't gas you up. This is actually abysmal. An 899 to 315. Unless something ridiculous happens in the postseason, I expect a first round exit, because we have to take on the Edmonton Oilers in the first round. I'm assuming the Edmonton Oilers had some pretty good players based on what their record was. Also, Lafreniere, 112 points. Didn't think I would see that. But yeah, does Edmonton just not have any of the leading scorers here? Okay, I thought they were a lot better than this. When it comes to the goaltending, I know that's looking fantastic. Who's their goaltender? Of course, Gabriel Deg. 49 wins, 5 shots, a 913 to 271. Yeah, we're going to be in tough in this matchup. So let's get right into that postseason matchup. The Arizona Coyotes taking on the Edmonton Oilers. Yeah, so that seems about right. We swept the Edmonton Oilers, scored 8 goals here, scored 9 goals here. In just 2 games, we scored 17 goals. Seems about right. So after that improbable sweep, we've moved on to the second round. If we can sweep the Edmonton Oilers, we should be able to sweep the postseason. I'm pretty sure they were number 1 in the entire league. Okay, whatever is happening right now, I'm all for it. 7 goals, 5 goals, 7 goals here. We're going to keep on rolling here. The offense makes no sense on what's happening here. As long as it doesn't slow up, we just scored 4 goals in the past 2 games. Do not do this to me. We're going to be scoring 4 in game number 6, and we're off to the conference finals yet again. So we've made it to the conference finals, and we do not deserve to be here. I'm going to keep it 1 scunda with this team. We probably shouldn't even have taken 1 game away from the Oilers, but we took 4, and then we took 4 from the Anaheim Ducks. So if we're going to keep on winning games, we might as well win a Stanley Cup. No, what we're doing right now is really historic. 8 goals here, 7 goals here. The offensive production makes absolutely no sense. We're in the Stanley Cup final. This team is really putting up historic offensive numbers for absolutely no reason. So we've made it to the Stanley Cup final, and I refuse to lose to the Toronto Maple Leafs. We are averaging 7 goals per game here. If our offense stops now, then I'm ending this video. Like, seriously, we are probably averaging 7 goals per game. If we lose to the Toronto Maple Leafs because the offense completely disappears, I'm going to be mad. We've won 3 straight. Can we close it out? This makes no sense. How did this Arizona Coyotes team just win a Stanley Cup? Sidney Ovechkin, you got to be the greatest player of all time with a performance like this. So when push came to shove, it's going to be these 2 guys right here, Gavin McKenna and Sidney Ovechkin. 13 goals, 15 assists, 28 points. Gavin McKenna, he's picking up 28 assists himself. And when it comes to the goaltending, Askarov, I had some questions about you, but a 16-4 record, including 2 shutouts, a 914 to 294. You've won us 2 Stanley Cups now, but I want to get a 3rd with Sidney Ovechkin, and we don't have too many years left to do so. But the real question is, who's taking home the Conn Smythe here? They're going to give it to Gavin McKenna. Me personally, I would have gave it to Sidney Ovechkin. He had more goals. He was a really good player, but hey, giving it to Gavin McKenna, can't really argue with that one too much. Who's taking home the Selke this season? Quentin Byfield? I guess that's just the way it goes. So clearly, after winning a Stanley Cup, we got to make some big moves. Here's the lone player we're signing. We gave him his entry-level contract. That's it. And with the $11 million we have to work with, we're letting all these guys walk. Granted, none of them are really super valuable players. So we're just going to simulate right till next season. This team's not going to make any massive moves. We're going to sign a couple players to play defense for us. But you know what? We got Thomas Harley. He led the defense for us. He was a great piece. We have 3 elite forwards that we can rely on. And you know what? Gavin McKenna and Sidney Ovechkin, they're just built different. They can lead this team without any help. Now, I'm not going to say too much heading into this season, but this team right here won a Stanley Cup last season. So the goal, a Stanley Cup this, okay, we're not winning. Thomas Harley, what happened to you? What happened to our great king and Thomas Harley? This guy right here, I don't know who this is. I do not know what this Thomas Harley is. He's not the Thomas Harley that helped us win a Stanley Cup. Okay, we're toast. Askarov lost all of his X factors, lost his superstar X factor. He's an 84 overall. Yeah, this team's going to be at the bottom of the league. Now, I will say, this game never ceases to amaze me. Third in the entire league. We were really third in the entire league here. Hold on, I gotta turn the face cam off. The offense was incredible, and the defense was actually pretty good as well. 3.21, where's that put us in the entire league? I think that's like 7th or 8th. So we really had a top 10 defense. And on top of having a great offense and a great defense, Sidney Ovechkin, the best season of your career at 30 years old, 119 points, 50 goals, 69 assists. This really makes no sense. The success this team is seeing right now makes no sense. And Askarov, this might be the most wins you've ever had in a season. Actually, that's a lie. I think you had a 50-win season once. Nope, this is the best season you've had when it comes to wins. You're 33 years old and you just declined. I'm assuming you led the entire league in wins. Yes, you did. So Askarov, you might be taking home one of the goaltender awards. And Austin Matthews, 81 goals in 82 games. This was a season. Like, I really can't explain what happened here, but I already know what's going to happen. We're getting swept in the first round to the Dallas Stars. That is the most realistic outcome. Yeah, so it's rigged. We swept the Dallas Stars. The Arizona Coyotes have swept the Dallas Stars. This shouldn't have happened, and the offense is flying once again. We're going to go on another ridiculous run, aren't we? So let the miracle run continue. We've won 5 postseason series in a row. Let's make it 6. So after getting completely smoked in the first 2 games of this series, we're going to be stepping up in the next 2. We're picking up a shutout here, and we're winning this one in overtime. So we got to keep the winning streak going here. Another overtime victory. Are we really going to make it to the conference finals and making that 6th straight series 1 for this team? Yes, we are. 7 goals in game number 6. This team's on something different right now. So a chance at back-to-back Stanley Cup finals comes down to this right here. The Arizona Coyotes taking on the Anaheim Ducks. If we pull off a win here and make it to the Stanley Cup final and win back-to-back games after all those guys regressed, Sidney Ovechkin might have to go down as the greatest player of all time for carrying this team to back-to-back Stanley Cup victories. So similar to the last series, we might be losing the first 2 games, but we're going to be responding, winning the next 2 here. Can we make it a 3-game winning streak? Unfortunately not. Anaheim finally has an answer for us, but I know for a fact this offense can step up when it matters most. We've seen it time and time again here. Let's do it right here. We're picking up 7 goals in game 6. Game 7 is going to be deciding this one. So here we go, game 7, a chance at making it to the Stanley Cup final once again. Anaheim has a 2-1 lead entering the second period. They're picking up a lot of goals here. We got to make a big comeback. We're down 5-2. I don't think we're going to be able to do it unless something stupid happens here. We're going to be losing this one 6-3. I think that Dynasty might be over here. Arizona falling in the conference finals. Is this the beginning of the end? It might be. Clayton Keller, 24 points to lead the way. That didn't just happen. Like, I'm sorry. No way Clayton Keller is going to be leading the team in scoring. Where is Sidney Ovechkin? How the mighty have fallen. 18 points in 17 games here. There was 5 players that performed better than him in the postseason. I think his time might be running out here. He's only 30 years old, but he is clearly not the player he used to be. Normally he could step up in big moments like this, but not anymore. His time's passed. When the postseason wrapped up, we're going to see the Florida Panthers taking home the Stanley Cup, defeating the Anaheim Ducks in a 5-game series. But I think it's safe to say this is the end of the dynasty for the Arizona Coyotes. We're going to keep on getting worse. We're going to keep on losing players. But if our top 3 can continue to perform, I'm talking Gavin McKenna, I'm talking Sidney Ovechkin, I'm talking Snyder. If these 3 guys continue to play at the top of their game, then I guess we're going to be able to survive, because this season, there's no reason we should have even made the playoffs. Now, although Clayton Keller is a legend for the Arizona Coyotes, I don't like this signing in the slightest. He's 37 years old, he's dropped to an 83 overall, he's going to keep on getting worse, and we decide to give him multiple years, almost $6 million. I don't like it. I don't like it one bit, especially when we have 2 guys here, one with medium elite potential and one with low elite potential that we haven't signed yet. We qualified both of them as RFAs, but why are we wasting money on Clayton Keller when we haven't locked down these guys? But now that I know we have a couple young elite potential players on the team, I have a bit more faith in what we're building here. Now, I've doubted this team over the past couple seasons, but they've proved me wrong time and time again, so I believe in what we have here. I don't care if we have a lot of weaknesses here, like we don't have any good defensemen, we don't really have a good goaltender, but you know what? We have these 3 guys right here, and clearly that's all it takes. If this team can make the playoffs last season and make it all the way to the conference finals, we can do it again. So at this point, I just give up with predicting the Arizona Coyotes first in the entire league, a 58-win season. The Arizona Coyotes 58 wins, we're never falling off here. Now, Sidney Ovechkin, last season you had a career year, 50 goals, 69 assists for 119 points. This season you had 120. You picked up 55 goals and 65 assists. What is going on? This man is aging like fine wine. The top players are really showing out here. Clayton Keller, I was disrespecting you, saying you weren't that guy, and I didn't want to give you that money. You were borderline a point a game still. You're looking incredible. The entire team's looking incredible here. And then Askarov, with the team winning as many games as we did, of course, you have to have good numbers here. But we have this backup goaltender who's got medium star potential. He could take over next season, because Askarov, I can't see him still being an 82 next season. He might be below an 80. But you know what? If we can cap off your career with one more Stanley Cup, that's what we're going to do. Now, this postseason run has to begin in the first round against the Winnipeg Jets. We have dominated the first round in back-to-back years. Let's make it 3 straight. So once again, we're going to be dominating in the first round. We have a 3-1 series lead, and we're going to cap it off with a 5-2 victory in Game 5. So round number 1 is in the books here. We're moving on to round number 2, looking to take on the Minnesota Wild. I would love to take on the Anaheim Ducks in the conference finals, though. I want Arizona to have the chance to get their revenge. So Arizona, you know what? I'm not stopping for the rest of this postseason. We have all the momentum here. 3 shutouts against the Minnesota Wild. We shut this team out 3 times. We got to keep on rolling here. Give me the Anaheim Ducks. I want the Anaheim Ducks, but unfortunately we're not getting that. We got the Chicago Blackhawks. Arizona, I know you can take down the Blackhawks. You've done it once before, and once is good enough for me. We allow 9 goals in game number 2. We should have stopped to look at the playoff bracket, because this ain't it. Now, that is definitely not how I wanted to finish out the postseason here, but you know what? The Blackhawks were legit, 16-3 in the postseason. That team was just really good. Nothing you can do about it. We were looking really good up until the conference finals, and then this team completely fell apart. Sidney Ovechkin, a much better postseason from you. Gavin McKenna, a pretty good postseason from you as well. The goaltending, though, I already know that's not going to be good. Okay, Askarov, I don't even care about your numbers. This man right here played in 52 minutes and allowed 6 goals. He had an 818 and a 682. How is that even possible? I don't want you as our backup next season. I want you off this team. My original plan was you were going to replace Askarov, but after a performance like this, I never want you to play another game for the Arizona Coyotes. He's taking home the Art Ross. That's going to be the first of his career. He's going to be taking home the Hart Memorial. Is there any other awards that he's going to be taking home? You got to give him a couple more. He's got to be taking home more than 2 here. He's probably going to win the Ted Lindsay. Yes, he is. Is he going to win the Maurice Rocket Richard? Unfortunately not. So he might go his entire career without a Rocket Richard trophy. Considering he is a combination of Alexander Ovechkin and Sidney Crosby, that would definitely be a massive disappointment. So I've reached the point where I just fully believe in the Arizona Coyotes. I never thought I would say those words, but if they want to give Reed Scoville $7.4 million for the next 2 years at an 82 overall, I'm going to believe in the vision. Now, even if I don't understand what you're doing, I'm going to continue to believe in the vision, because you guys have proven that you know what you're doing here. We're going to bring in this left defenseman who's an 81 overall, and we're giving him $5.5 million. If you think he's worth $5.5 million, then go ahead and do that. Arizona, you've been cooking lately. Ah, yes, the great Arizona Coyotes core. Sidney Ovechkin, Gavin McKenna, Snyder, an 81 overall Clayton Keller, Makinen, who's an 85 overall, Scoville, who's getting paid a lot for being an 82 overall, and then a bunch of 70 overalls with 280 overalls. When it comes to the defense, 281s. Actually, we're going to make that 481 players. Geez, this team's just looking phenomenal. And then when it comes to the goaltending, that's immaculate here. 281 overall goaltenders. Yeah, this team's somehow going to win 50 plus games. Like, this team right here is really going to win 50 plus games, and it's going to make absolutely no sense. So after years of exceeding expectations, reality is finally set in for Arizona. 24th in the entire league. We all saw this coming. Like, offensively, we're still a really good team, but defensively, we're one of the worst in the entire league here. We saw what our defense looked like. We saw the goaltending tandems. We knew this wasn't going to work out. Snyder, he's leading the way here. Makinen's coming in second. Sidney Ovechkin is not that guy anymore. He's still 96 overall, but man, did his production fall off. The entire team's production fell off. And yeah, Askarov, he lost his starting spot this season. This is the beginning of the end for him. Hopefully, this is his final season. Yes, it is. But Bro posted an 887 and a 376. Yeah, we're not winning with him anymore. When it comes to the playoffs, we're going to see the Philadelphia Flyers beating the Anaheim Ducks in a 7-game series. All I can hope is that Arizona somehow does a quick rebuild and we can win Sidney Ovechkin one more Stanley Cup. So when I originally saw this team, I was actually starting to get a bit of faith here. Like Gavin McKenna, Sidney, Ovechkin, Snyder. We got Mackinnon here, Scoville. The team's looking really good. Yeah, the bottom six is weak. We already saw that one coming. But we had a great defenseman in Ristolainen here at 87 overall. But how much are we paying him? Well, we're only paying him $17 million for the next 4. That is definitely not a contract that's going to age very poorly, considering he's already 31 years old. And since we gave him that much money, we don't have a goaltender. So yeah, whatever happens here happens. I'm not expecting too much. Now, I'm fully convinced the worse our team looks, the better we're going to perform. First in the entire league with a 57-21-4 record. Maybe giving that defenseman $17 million was the move. Our offense was incredible, but our defense was also one of the best in the entire NHL here. How did we have one of the best defenses, 4th in the entire league? That makes no sense. Nothing about this video has made sense though, so why am I going to question it now? Sidney, Ovechkin, 57 goals, 54 helpers, 111 points here. Snyder's also picking up 111 points. McKenna 110. Mackinnon's having a great season, 70 points, but he was -5. Our second line was not very good here, but you know what? The top players showed up, and that's all that matters. When it comes to the goaltending, you know what, Askarov, you're the backup here, so I don't really care about your numbers anymore. But this man right here, 39 wins, 4 shots, a 903 and a 293. We might be able to do some damage with a new goaltender. However, I do have a lot of questions about this team. Let's not forget who's on this team. Let's not forget what this team is comprised of. We are not a good team. We probably shouldn't be first in the entire league. But then again, we won 57 games, so we've proved that we can compete with the best. Now, am I really surprised that a team like the Nashville Predators, who are a wildcard team, are putting a lot of pressure on us? Absolutely not. We're entering game number 6 here. We have to win this one to stay alive, and we're off to game 7 with a big 4-2 victory. So the Arizona Coyotes continue to compete, even though we have a really bad roster. But with a bad roster, we were able to finish number 1 in the entire league, so I can never doubt this team right here. We're going to be advancing in a 4-2 victory. So the Nashville Predators almost completed an incredible upset, but they're just not good enough to beat the Arizona Coyotes. We're built different with Sidney, Ovechkin leading the way, but now we have one of our biggest rivals, the Chicago Blackhawks. So I'm not too sure if it's reality setting in here or the Chicago Blackhawks are just that good of a team, but we're facing elimination. We're down 3-1 in this series. We're getting dominated once again by the Chicago Blackhawks, and they're going to find a way to eliminate us once again in the postseason. Now, after an elimination like this, normally I would go in a big spiel about how this team's completely fallen off. We're not going to be able to recover and all that nonsense. However, the Arizona Coyotes proved me wrong time and time again. I don't care if this team doesn't look good. We're somehow going to find a way to finish first in the entire league here. I don't care if our goaltender absolutely sucks and posted an 880 and a 362. This guy will probably somehow win a Stanley Cup with these numbers in the future. But until then, we just got to keep on simulating here, and the Rangers, they're going to take home the Stanley Cup, taking down the Chicago Blackhawks. So not too much is happening over the postseason. We're going to be holding on to the important pieces, but Mackinnon did leave the team, but we found a replacement for him pretty quick, Doug Cashman. But I'm very scared on how much we gave this man, $17 million. Yeah, so I'm assuming our defense is looking really bad because we're spending all of our money on the forward core. We have a -3 here and a -3 here. I want to say this team's not going to succeed, but look what we've done in the past couple seasons. However, we have got a massive upgrade in the goaltending department. We have this goaltender right here on his rookie deal. He's already an 85 overall. That's going to be great for us. And we have this goaltender right here, 1.3 million. Okay, we might be all right. So you're telling me once we add an 85 overall goaltender to the team and an 84 overall goaltender, we get worse. We finally have 2 competent goaltenders on this team, and we're 8th in the entire league. I mean, our goals against is really good this season. But yeah, how are we worse when we have better goaltenders? That will never make sense to me. Sidney, Ovechkin, what is this I'm looking at right here? You've dropped to a 95 overall at 34 years old, only 35 goals. This is the end of an era, no question about it. He's completely fallen off here. The goaltending was pretty solid though, but yeah, when Sidney, Ovechkin's not succeeding, you know the team's not going to succeed. We got the Minnesota Wild in the first round, one last Stanley Cup push. We got to get one more before Sidney, Ovechkin retires. So this is exactly what I want to see us doing in the postseason. We're competing with the Minnesota Wild, but I'm actually looking forward to our second round matchup. Chicago, we got to take you on. You better not lose to the Winnipeg Jets. I know you're down 3-2 in the series, but you're one of the best teams in the entire league. You better beat Winnipeg. I want to get revenge. So Chicago's not going to be able to make the comeback, so that means we have to take on the Winnipeg Jets in the second round, but it should be easy for us. I mean, the Chicago Blackhawks are really the only team that can beat the Arizona Coyotes, so if we don't have to take them on anymore, we're going to easily get to the Stanley Cup final. Now, I was using some pretty flawed logic there. The only team that can beat us is the Chicago Blackhawks, but the Winnipeg Jets beat the Chicago Blackhawks, and we're now down 3-1 in the series, and now we're eliminated. So yeah, that thing about making it to the Stanley Cup final, Not really happening. And what potentially could have been one of Sidney Ovechkin's last chances at a Stanley Cup, we're going to be falling in the second round here. He's already dropped to a 95 overall. I can only assume by the beginning of the season, he's going to be below a 90. But you know what? I don't really care what Sidney Ovechkin's overall is going to be. The real question I have, is he under contract? This was the final year of his deal. Did he get re-signed by the Arizona Coyotes? Because this team's been throwing money left and right. Like, we've given 2 players $17 million deals. So Sidney Ovechkin, we better have you locked down here. Yes, we do. We're giving you $15.6 million. I mean, I'm not against this deal, but I mean, you are 34 years old. You are getting worse. Why are we giving you more money? Also, we haven't given Snyder a deal yet. I kind of want to lock him down. How much money do we have to work with here? Can I give him an extension myself? I mean, I technically can give him one, and I'm actually going to do that. I want to make sure that he sticks around. So here's $15 million for the next 7 years. Snyder, I need you on the team as long as Sidney Ovechkin's here. We need the big three to stick together. So I might have slightly over-exaggerated when I said Sidney Ovechkin would drop to like below a 90 overall. But you know what? He's dropped to elite potential, so things are slowing down for him. He's still 95 overall, but I feel like the decline for this guy is going to be coming really quick. He's going to drop from a 95 to a 90, and then probably a 90 to an 85 in just 2 seasons. So I think he's going to regress pretty quick. I don't think it's going to be a slow drop off for him. When it comes to the rest of the team here, who would have seen this? Ristolainen is starting to decline here, and we're still paying him $17 million. And when it comes to the goaltending situation, I mean, we still have this goaltender right here, and he's been pretty good for us, so I'm happy with keeping him around. We also have this amazing backup for $2.5 million. He's an 85 overall, so we still have the goaltending tandem. However, the rest of the team is a bit weak. We have an abysmal bottom 6 here, and the defensive pairings outside of Ristolainen just very, very poor. Now, I'm going to be completely honest, these next couple years are going to go very fast. The Arizona Coyotes, 15th in the entire league with a 44, 35, and 3 record. This team's not what they used to be. Sidney Ovechkin's not what he used to be. Bro's not even picking up a point a game here. 79 points and he was -4. 42 goals, he's dropped to a 94 overall. The fall off is here, and it's sad to see. Like, even Gavin McKenna, somebody who's been a Sidney Ovechkin side the entire way, he's 33 years old. Both of these guys are going to start aging out pretty quick. And on top of that, we still don't have a defense here. So unless something completely changes, this team's not going to be seeing any success. Now that I've made those comments, I'm fully expecting us to go 16-2 in the postseason and win a Stanley Cup, because that would make a lot of sense. So we're going to ignore what happened in game number 4 here, us losing 10-1, but the point still stands. This team's going on a stupid run. We're taking out the 58-win Chicago Blackhawks in the first round. So we were somehow able to beat the Chicago Blackhawks. That made literally 0 sense. But you know what? We've made to the second round. If we can beat the best in the entire league, then we can be the best in the entire league. We got the Winnipeg Jets up next. Arizona, just keep on winning games here. Okay, when I made the joke about us going 16-2 in the postseason, I didn't think it would actually happen, but we're off to the conference finals and we're currently 8-1. So yeah, maybe we do go 16-2. So the boys are currently 8-1, and I don't see us slowing down anytime soon. All we have to do is go 8-1 to finish out the postseason here, and we would have actually gone 16-2. Is that going to happen? Absolutely not. So that means it's clearly going to happen. Okay, so all we have to do is beat the Vancouver Canucks in this game right here, and then sweep the Stanley Cup final. If we sweep the Stanley Cup final, we went 16-2. The Pittsburgh Penguins are the last team we have to take on here. Are we going to sweep them? Nope, but they almost swept us. Okay, we got to make a massive comeback here, and so far it's looking pretty good. We've won back-to-back games. Can we make it 3 straight, falling in the Stanley Cup final to the Pittsburgh Penguins? That's a tough one for Sidney Ovechkin. His last chance at a Stanley Cup, and we're falling. I mean, it's not the last chance. I said that last season. We probably won't get another chance. But you know what? We made it all the way to the Stanley Cup final here. Definitely shouldn't have. But you know what? If we're making it this far, then we're clearly still a good team. It's Sidney Ovechkin, 15 goals, 9 assists, 24 points. You can still compete with the best in the entire league. I gotta stop doubting you. No, but in all seriousness, how did we just make it to the Stanley Cup final? And how was my prediction of us going 16-2 almost correct? We were 12-2 entering the Stanley Cup final. Why were we so successful this season, and why could no team beat us? We didn't have any defensive pairings, and we didn't have a bottom 6. Somehow we won games though. I just don't get it. So after falling in the Stanley Cup final last season, Sidney Ovechkin's dropped to a 92 overall, only top 6 potential now. I've come to the conclusion it doesn't really matter what his overall is, it's more about potential. If he drops to top 9 potential, more than likely he's gonna retire, even if he's still like a 92 overall. So yeah, his overall is not really a good basis of when he's going to retire. More than likely it's going to be his potential, and as that continues to fall here, he doesn't have too many years left. The top line's still looking absolutely fantastic. The rest of the forward core here is looking abysmal. We have a 70 overall here. Defensively, yeah, this is tough. An 83 is the best guy here. Too many 70 overalls here. We have way too many 70s on the defensive core. When it comes to goaltending, we lost our starting goaltender. We have this 85 right here and an 81. Everything about this team got worse, so I can only assume we're missing the playoffs. We barely made it into the postseason last year. However, we can perform better than we did last season, especially when the team's worse. Now, I am very impressed with the Arizona Coyotes. We're not making the playoffs, I can tell you that. But this team wasn't nearly as bad as I thought we would be. 21st in the entire league with a 39, 37, and 6 record. We didn't have a good defense. We basically didn't have a bottom 9. We had a first line and that was about it, but still 21st in the entire league when you really had only 4 good players on the team. That's not really that bad. But Sidney, Ovechkin, I knew you were going to decline eventually, and it finally happened. You dropped to an 86 overall. That's a 6 overall drop because I believe you started the season at 92. If you started at a 93, it's a 7 overall drop, but that doesn't matter. Only 89 points this season. If you're not producing at the top of your game, then this team's not going to see success. We're missing the playoffs. The goaltending numbers were absolutely abysmal. The Dallas Stars are winning a Stanley Cup, but the real question is about this season, is Sidney Ovechkin going to call it a career? So it looks like Sidney Ovechkin's got one more season left in him. He's not retiring yet. He wants to try to run it back with Arizona one more time. Personally, I think that's a massive waste of time. Yes, Sidney Ovechkin improving to an 88 overall after dropping to an 86, but he dropped to top 9 potential. What about any of this makes any sense? This team didn't really get any better. I mean, we have a second line now, but the fourth line's awful. 73, 73, 74. We have a 75 here. Like, this team is not winning games. Defensively, yeah, we're cooked. Unless we have some superstar goaltender. I mean, we have 2 85s. That's not too bad, but yeah, this just isn't it. So as the Arizona Coyotes continue to lose players and everyone regresses, they're going to be worse. 25th this season, but something very stupid happened. Sidney Ovechkin, after dropping to an 83 overall, picked up 100 points, 48 goals, 52 helpers, but he lost his superstar X Factor. He lost a handful of other X Factors. This is probably his last season. Then again, I've said that for the past 2 years now, so who really knows what's going to happen? I don't know who our backup goaltender was. I don't know where he is. Maybe this guy was the starter. Something's going on with the stats, but I'm not going to worry too much about it. The Nashville Predators are Stanley Cup champions, taking down the Detroit Red Wings. Sidney Ovechkin, it's time for you to officially call it a career. Okay, I'm so incredibly mad that Sidney Ovechkin just called it a career now that I'm looking at his stats. 956 goals, 978 assists for 1,934 points. Play one more season and crack 1,000 in both of these. Score 1,000 goals and get 1,000 assists. I understand that I've been promoting the retirement of this guy right here, but I did not realize he was 44 goals away from 1,000 goals and only 22 assists away from 1,000 assists. This man right here was 66 points away from cracking 2,000, but he decided to call it a career here. But you know what, Sidney Ovechkin, you were a great player, but you're not as good as I thought you were going to be. You came into the league at a 95 overall, and the best goal scoring season you had was a 61 goal campaign. Considering you were a combination of Sidney Crosby and Alexander Ovechkin, I was expecting more goals. The best assist campaign you had came in 2035, 2036, where you picked up 69, and the best point campaign came the season after that, where you picked up 120 points. Now, Sidney Ovechkin definitely is going to go down as one of the greatest players of all time, but he's also one of the biggest what-ifs of all time, a combination of Sidney Crosby and Alexander Ovechkin, but for some reason, he just never lived up to the hype. Yeah, he had a ton of fantastic seasons, but he's Sidney Crosby and Alexander Ovechkin combined. I am expecting a bit more if I'm being completely honest.